Welcome back after the break. So ബ്രേക്കിന് മുമ്പ് പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ നമ്മളോടൊപ്പം ഇന്ന് നമ്മുടെ സ്പെഷ്യൽ ഗസ്റ്റ് ഉണ്ട്. She is a fiery, feisty journalist. And although journalism is her profession, she describes herself as a humanist by passion. Anjana, Shanker, welcome to the show and welcome to Women's Era. Pleasure having you here.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. It's my pleasure to be on the show.
Lovely. So yes, great. So let's get started. So Anjana, I know I described you as a fiery, feisty journalist. But in your bio, you've mentioned that you are a humanist by passion. അപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു പാഷൻ ജോബിനോടാണോ അതോ അതിൻ്റെ ഡ്യൂട്ടീസിനോടാണോ? ഐ മീൻ ഒരു പാഷനേറ്റ് ഹ്യൂമൻ ബീയിങ് ആയിട്ട് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യണതിനോടാണോ താല്പര്യം? How do you define that?
I think it's about striking a balance.
Okay.
I obviously have to be passionate, about my job, and I am.
True.
I think every journalist is. That's why they are in this profession. At the same time, when I say I'm a humanist, I have a special affinity towards issues which are close to human beings, and when you tell stories of that create some human impact.
Sherry. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so that is how the humanist element.
Humanist and journalist combined, yes.
Lovely. So, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഈ ജേർണലിസമിലേക്ക് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഒരു കരിയർ തുടങ്ങുന്നത്? എങ്ങനെയാണ് ആദ്യം മുതലേ, since you were a child, was this a passion or is this something that happened by chance?
No, I think it happened by chance.
Okay.
I never thought I would be a journalist, but I think at some point in your life you would end up meeting somebody or seeing something, then that triggers that passion.
Okay. Or inspiration, alle?
Yeah, I mean, not as an inspiration, something that gives you an idea.
Okay, trigger. Right. Okay.
So then I thought, okay, why not? Maybe it will suit my personality, and then I took up journalism.
Okay.
I came to the UAE. And, as any other journalist, I started as a cub reporter or a very junior level reporter.
Okay.
I was working with Khalij Times.
Okay.
And, then after some time, I've worked with other newspapers in the region, at a senior position.
Okay.
Now I'm back with Khalij Times and I'm heading the Abu Dhabi bureau.
The Abu Dhabi bureau. Yes, you're the chief of Abu Dhabi bureau and you're also a senior journalist. And you're also an editor. With Khalij Times.
It's an assistant editor.
Assistant editor. So, so it happened. It was a trigger, and you just went with the flow, and you ended up being in this passion.
Yes.
So, what drives you forward? Oh, there was a trigger that initiated you into the field. What is it that drives you forward? Because you've had more than 10 years of experience in this region alone, so.
I think, for everybody, and it's true to me too, it's all about, this daily, every day is very different for us. You start a day, sometimes you know what you're doing, sometimes you have no idea, and you just go by a lead, or maybe it could be a telephone call, or it could be a small tip-off, and then then you just chase the story. So it's very, very exciting that every day is new. So that keeps you going, and at the same time, I think this profession also, opens many doors to you in terms of you see a lot of things that other people won't see, and you have access to many people and many things. True. So I think, it's that passion to learn, and it's passion, if you have a curious eye, then it's the right profession for you. Every day is a new day. So that keeps you going, and every day you chase new stories.
So it's a thrilling ride. Every day, because it's something new that you look forward to each day. There's a new story that's brewing in the media. And then, so how do you find this race to get ahead, to be the first ones in the media to get hold of a story?
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that now? Because the social media is rampant. Everybody has a potential to be a citizen journalist. If I capture a story, if I'm at a scene of, say, there's a building on fire, and then I get to capture it and I report it on social media. So how has social media changed the fabric of journalism?
It has entirely changed the way we report on stories, because we say that as print journalists, I work for a newspaper, you are no more in the business of breaking news. As you said, anybody can break a news on Twitter or on Facebook.
Right.
So I think as journalists now, we have to adapt, we have to change, because it's a disruption. So what we do is now, till maybe 10 years ago or even 8 years ago, if you're not on social media, or if you are too much on social media, people could get fired. because you're wasting your time.
Yeah. Yes.
And now, if you're not on social media, you cannot be a good journalist.
Absolutely. So it's important, it's imperative to be on social media.
Yeah, because that's where, we work based on our networking skills, where you meet people, what kind of connections that you make.
Right.
So that social media help us a lot. And also, if you see that a lot of stories are breaking from the official sources and also from unofficial sources.
Right.
Like, the layman who would see something and post a picture. So we are glued on social media, on Instagram, on Twitter, and we always keep an eye on to see what's happening around. So that's an important tool for journalists now.
For journalists, right? Yeah. And you've been extensively reporting through Facebook Live, and you've used social media extensively in all your reporting.
Yes,
as well, right?
Because what happens is now almost everybody is hooked onto their smartphone, and even the viewing habits of people, the news watching habits have changed. There is still a percentage of people who love to read the newspaper in the morning with their morning coffee.
The conventional print.
Conventional print. Yeah. But at the same time, we have to reach out to a larger audience through Facebook. So using Facebook Live as a tool to break news or to bring that news to home, to bring it to their palms, we use Facebook Live. And, there were many occasions where now when we are on the field, I could be writing a story later in the evening on the newspaper, but before that we break the story on the website. Because that is where we break the stories. But at the same time, to take those visuals that I see as a reporter on the ground, I use Facebook Live so that for College Times we have more than 2.5 million Facebook viewers.
Right.
So when I put out a Facebook Live from a event or an accident site or a bigger issue that I'm covering, I'm reaching out to 2.5 million viewers right away.
Then
so that's
and there.
The difference. Then and there, and we get feedbacks right there.
Yes. Oh, that's another thing with social media, right? Because it's become more interactive. Because with conventional print medium, you don't know how many people are reading the papers, or maybe you don't know what their perception of the news is. But with social media, you get immediate feedback from your viewers.
Yeah, totally. And it's become a powerful medium for everybody, not just for newspapers, for common people, for corporates. So social media is the new name of the game.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's why you call yourself a multimedia journalist, right? You're not restricted to print or TV. It's everything that comes together. So is that what defines a multimedia journalist?
Yeah, exactly. So basically you are not just focusing on your readers. So when you are, that's what a print journalist used to do. But now you are a multimedia journalist where, you straddle all these kinds of roles where you can do Facebook Live, you can break a story on the website. Yeah, so basically you have to be adept at different mediums.
All of these.
Yeah, all of that, yes.
Anjana, something else that intrigues me whenever I meet a journalist or whenever I think of journalism as a field, people most often tend to think of it as a very glamorous industry. People think of it as an industry that gives you a lot of privileges and access. What is ground reality? What is this a myth, or is it as tough as a profession as any other demanding field?
I would say, it's very interesting because, whenever I tell somebody that I'm a journalist and this is what I do, I'm like, oh, wow, I think so people, as you said, they have this perception that journalists are somebody, who are maybe more daring or, they do something extraordinary. But
no, but that is true. You've done a lot of exemplary, extraordinary things, which we'll come to later. But yes, sure, go on.
Yes, so, but I think, I wouldn't call journalism a glamorous field, but definitely it is more adventurous. It's a little unconventional, compared to many other jobs, like a desk job that you would do. We don't have definite timings, you can't plan your day, and you should be open to any kind of experiences. And, sometimes people even used to say that a journalist never follows a dress code, and it's like, why is that? You walk into a black tie affair and you have a journalist who's wearing a kurta or something very casual.
Why is that? Is that something you guys deliberately do? Because if you observe, going back to traditional movies or Indian cinema, a journalist always has a kurta and a tag and a pen and a booklet. Is that something that is a norm in the industry?
No, I don't think, they do it intentionally. But the logic that I can explain is, see, in the morning, I could be attending maybe interviewing an ambassador.
Okay.
So, see, I'm wearing a suit
formal,
and formal attire.
Western attire.
But as soon as I'm done with that, maybe at 3, in the afternoon, there is a fire in a labor camp and I'm rushing there.
Wow, okay.
I don't know that. So what dress code do I follow?
For that as well, right?
Yeah,
okay.
so that's why I think people wear the most comfortable clothes where, you can run around, you can, climb wherever you want. It's more like more being comfortable.
Comfortable,
yeah.
Right, because you never know what life is going to throw at you on
a specific day. So you're just ready for all kinds of experiences when you start a day. Maybe there is a boring day, and the next day, it's the most exciting and adventurous day.
True.
So, so I wouldn't call it glamorous per se, but it is definitely, adventurous. And it requires you to be very flexible and, open to new challenges and to be it is very unpredictable.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that requires that kind of, the
being
mental
ready,
makeup,
right?
being ready and jump on a story as soon as you have it. Yeah.
True, very true. Speaking of the industry being adventurous and being challenging, as a woman, as a lady operating in journalism, how difficult or how easy, I'm posing both sides of the question, how difficult or how easy do you think the journey has been?
Yeah. I would think that it is, it is in any way easy or difficult.
Okay.
But, but being a woman, whether you are a journalist or, in any other profession, there are certain safety issues that I think every woman faces on a daily basis. And we also do that. But I have to say that, while working in the UAE, we are in one of the safest countries in the world.
That's true.
So that's definitely, makes me, puts you at ease that you don't have to worry about your safety. If I'm traveling late at night or if I'm jumping into a cab. Safety is the last thing in my mind, as long as I am in the UAE. But as soon as, I am out when I go for an assignment outside, whether it is in India or in Bangladesh or Nepal, as a woman journalist, safety is definitely the biggest concern for me because, first of all, you are not in your home turf.
True.
So, and you don't know what is waiting for you and you're going to get into a lot of difficult situations, right? So I could hire a taxi driver, for a day, or maybe I have a guide or a translator. But these are people that I don't know.
No, at all.
So I always need to know that I'm safe. That is the best concern, So it's not easy as a woman, especially, So whenever I have traveled abroad, cracking a story or, being out in the field, that's all is challenging, no doubt about it.
True.
But safety has always been, my biggest concern and it's always at the back of my mind when I'm working. But luckily, I've never, came across any untoward situation so far. Touch wood. Yes.
I know, touch wood. As a woman, I completely concur with you, Anjana, when you say that this region has offered a safety that's unparalleled and unheard of. So
yeah, totally.
We're blessed, I think we should say. Yes. Now, coming to the point where you mentioned, Anjana, covering stories across the world, around the world, you have been, you were the only journalist from the UAE that covered the Nepal earthquake in 2015, on ground zero. And of course, the Rohingya refugee crisis, the Syrian refugee crisis from Germany. How has this been? These are all feathers to your cap as a journalist, as these are all success stories that you can narrate to generations in the future. How were those experiences? Could you just narrate to us?
I would say that, there's still a long way to go. I think I'm just in the beginning of my journey. But working as a local journalist, it is definitely very challenging when you step out of your comfort zone. It's not your home turf, and then you're chasing a story which is a global story. Because you're not writing only to the local audience, though your paper is a local paper.
You're representing a local media, right?
Representing a local media, but you're writing about international, global issues. So, for example, the most recent assignment that I had taken up was in Bangladesh. And as you know, it is one of the biggest humanitarian crisis that is breaking in Southeast Asia. And it is one of the fastest growing crisis. And we have been reading about it, watching some visuals. So I wanted to, travel to Bangladesh and look at the stories from a close quarters and to kind of delve a little deeper and to find out, what is happening there, as a journalist. And it is an issue which is in the limelight.
Correct. Was it your initiative to go to Bangladesh and cover this?
Yes, and it was an assignment planned with the newspaper, and of course I can't do anything without the support of my newspaper. And I'm lucky enough to be with College Times that that believes that your reporters should be there. We should be on the ground and reporting, bringing those issues to our readers. So what happens is, once you are there and you're seeing, these victims and, people who have faced this kind of persecution and the most worst forms of atrocities, you have seen it on TV and you have read it in newspapers. But when you're out on the field as a reporter, you get a first-hand account of it, and then you get a bigger picture. You get a better perspective about it. And during my, I stayed there for more than a week. Okay. And I have seen things which, you would not even imagine exist. I have spoken to, children and even young girls, as young as maybe 11 or 13, who were raped by, Myanmar soldiers. And there were kids who ended up on the shores of Bangladesh all alone. And, you like when you travel, because I was extensively traveling across, refugee camps and, interviewing victims to find out, what has happened back home and what made these people, make this journey this dangerous journey to Bangladesh. So everybody that I spoke to had the most chilling stories to tell you about, their families being killed, the entire villages being, wiped out, and everybody has lost a member. They have seen, macabre scenes of violence, in close quarters. So these are things, as a journalist, when I'm on the ground, I am very objective. I'm supposed to report these stories. So you keep your personal emotions aside. Absolutely. The same with, Nepal. When I covered the Nepal earthquake, I thought, this was the most kind of distressing sights that I would see. Like when you travel, villages after villages are just wiped out. There's nothing standing. Just rubble. Just rubble. And then there are people out on the streets. They have lost everything. They have lost their family members. So these are things, professionally, yes, you're bringing those stories, to your readers. True. As you said, I was the only one who was in Nepal at that time from the UAE. Right. So, we did a lot of stories on that. And even with the Rohingya refugee crisis, with the advancement of technology, we were doing Facebook Lives. Live, yes. And even the feedback that we got from our readers, because people, these stories matter to people, no matter where you are. Absolutely. And we have a big, Bangladeshi population here. Absolutely. And even whether you belong there or not, yes. These stories, touch people's heart. They tug at their heartstrings, and they want to see a change. So I think as a journalist, what happens is when you bring these stories, when you crack these stories, somewhere you hope that you will make a difference. Yes, you'll trigger change, something, and personally, I think it is definitely a learning experience. It opens your eyes and your ears to many things that otherwise, you don't know, or you're not even aware, or you don't even bother, because you're all in our comfort zones. Exactly. There's so much we take for granted, and I think being in a profession like journalism, like you rightly said, opens your eyes and ears and your hearts to other people that you wouldn't on a normal day be bothered about. Exactly. Right? Yeah. That's nice, Anjana. What about the Germany? You covered the Syrian refugee crisis from Germany. Yeah, right? Because that was 2 years ago, and that was the time, the Syrian refugee crisis, the war is still on, and now we read about horrible stories happening there. And that was the time there was, a major influx of refugees to Germany, to Europe, and Germany with Angela Merkel, yes. She had opened up the doors for refugees, and so there was almost 1 million refugees who came to Germany seeking refuge. So that was the time when we thought, why not? Let's go to Europe and see what is happening and why. And these journey that they've taken from Syria going through Turkey, and that entire the refugee trace that they've been So there I visited a few refugee camps. You know, there were people on railway stations, there were people on the ground, but it was a little more organized than what I saw in Bangladesh or in Nepal. But we were talking to people, families, and they're like, it makes you think they're normal people like us. They had a home, they had professions, they had dreams for their children, and then all on a sudden, it's not their fault, but they're just thrown out of their homes, or they have lost everything, and they are on the road, and they are in no man's land. They are in a foreign country without knowing. So heartrending stories everywhere. But what I understand, whether it's from Germany or whether it's about Syrians or Bangladeshis or the Nepali people, everywhere the human suffering is the same.
It's the same.
The taste of the tears, I think, it's the same. The agony in their voice is the same. The hope, and if you ask them, what do they want in future? Everybody has the same answer. They want a safe home. They want their children to go to school. They want safety.
Basic needs and dreams and wishes, right?
Dreams and wishes, yeah.
So, Anjana, where do you see yourself going in the future? You've 10 years of adventures that you've had. What does the future like for you?
Future lies, as I said, I think I still have a long way to go. But, there's something which is close to my heart, though I'm not a domain expert in it. But, the issues concerning refugees and conflict and migration. Now, I think there are more than 65.5 million refugees or displaced people all over the world. And the numbers are growing.
Just growing.
Right. And I think now we have the biggest number of displacement happening in different parts of the world. Conflict, it could be persecution, it could be natural disasters. So that's one area where I would like to put more work into. So I would like to travel to more countries and write more stories about refugees and migration and conflicts.
Lovely. I hope you get to do that very soon, Anjana. And I wish you all the best on behalf of the entire team at Women's Era and Channel E. And thank you so much for spending time with us. It was lovely having you.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that was Anjana, ladies and gentlemen, a fiery FST journalist. So adodugudi nammade Women's Era innu avasanikkeyanu. But tomorrow, Megha and I will be back on the clock, on the dot at 1 p.m. Stay tuned, stay happy, keep smiling. Bye-bye.